If you ask somebody if they love art and to name a work of art they love, chances are they're going to mention a work at the Art Institute of Chicago. The Art Institute is one of the leading cultural institutions in the Midwest and one of the most frequently visited museums in the nation. Welcome. Welcome to Project Windows. I'm Stanley Smith. We're visiting the partners page today at the Art Institute of Chicago's website. Project Windows is an annual initiative, event, and celebration of window displays and beauty here in the city of Chicago. Each summer, we invite participants to create lavish window displays and interactions around the city to celebrate the Blockbuster show at the Art Institute. This summer, the Blockbuster show was Kaibot Painting His World. Here on the partners page, we have the heading Project Windows 2025 Kaibot in the city because that's what we did. We took Kaibot to the streets and created our own visual experience in Chicago neighborhoods in partnership with Choose Chicago. Those of you who might be familiar with the Rainy Day, which is one of Gustav Kaibot's most prominent works on permanent display at the Art Institute of Chicago, it did travel to Paris, to the Musée d'Orsay this summer, where the show originated, and we're happy to have it back here in Chicago. Some of the participants this year, you can see actually all the participants on the partners page at the Art Institute of Chicago. They're all listed by name and location with Instagram connections. This photo on the left is the 330 South Michigan condos. It's actually an empty storefront, beautified with a riff on the rainy day theme. On the right, we have the 900 North Michigan Avenue shops, and they were a terrific participant creating visual projections on the ceiling of the shopping center atrium, and then also two prominent windows on Walton Street featuring reproductions of Gustav Kaibot paintings paired with fashion from retailers at 900 North Michigan Avenue. A series of paintings at the Berghoff restaurant were created featuring Chicago scenes, river scenes that were digitally created as paintings for display in a series of about 5 windows on Adams Street. Also at the Berghoff was this charming painting created by Deborah Popley. Deb is a plein air painter, part of the plein air painters of Chicago. She painted this scene, this rainy day scene outside the Berghoff on Adams Street. Maybe in the distance, we could almost make out the Art Institute. Charming. And actually, this painting was used by the Berghoff as the menu cover art this summer. This display by textile artist Diana Doms at the Blackstone Hotel. Diana reupholstered this chair with a beautiful gunmetal fabric and upholstered pillow drapes and a intricate cutout balustrade balcony scene that she cut out of plywood, she told me, with a jigsaw in her apartment at Marina City. This is actually a beautiful reproduction of a Gustav Kaibot painting on silk, which was very luxurious. This is a photo opportunity for guests and visitors of the Blackstone Hotel in the main lobby. Those of you who might be familiar with Chicago lore might know that the Blackstone is it's the home of the term. The origination of smoke-filled room was at the Blackstone Hotel. Another terrific tie-in historically with the Blackstone, and the Art Institute is a prominent long-term resident guest at the hotel. In the 30s and 40s, Annie Swan Colburn, who was her collector of art, impressionistic art, Degas, and other artists, Monet, I believe, and also some Van Gogh, possibly. But anyway, when she retired from her earthly life, she did us all the good favor of donating her collection, her not insignificant collection at the Blackstone to the Art Institute of Chicago. So the Art Institute has a special affinity to the Blackstone, and they love Annie Swan Colburn. Each year we create different categories for winners. I have the tally sheets from the judges, which I'm still working on. We have light and color and design. And this display from Buccellati, it could be the most minimal, but we appreciate anyone's effort. We're so thrilled to have Buccellati and some other Oak Street retailers in the contest this year. Buccellati inserted some reproductions of Gustav Kaibat's works into their luxurious silver frames. The Loop Synagogue participated in the heart of the Chicago Business District. Loop Synagogue is significant in the world of art as well because they have their own Moreau stained glass covering the second floor wall of the sanctuary. It's pretty spectacular. They created a fun, colorful display facing Clark Street at Loop Synagogue, hoping to encourage people to interact and be more engaged with the street scene in our central business district and to connect with the community around them. The Chicago Tea House, we were a little thin this year in the category of humor, but it's kind of humorous that the Tea House people included everything except the people. They have the most important part of their business is the tea and our mouth. So I guess from your cup to your mouth to your mouth or to your ear at Chicago Tea House, Agnes and her team are a long-time participant, and very fun to work with. This is on North State Parkway, a very prominent location in the Gold Coast. Christoph finds silver and tableware, serviceware, and jewelry and gifts on East Oak Street. Kind of a lavish spread and spray of merchandise and art. Nicole, the manager at the Christoph store on East Oak Street, somehow managed to pull off a private reception for the granddaughter of Gustav Kaibat. I think it was in conjunction with the French consulate. For some reason, I wasn't invited, but I can applaud the effort anyway. I think that was terrific. What a terrific activation this season. Drake Hotel, another long time participant, a staple on North Michigan Avenue, splash of color, and the rainy day theme. An art installation by Chicago Sculpture International at the Fine Arts Building right here where I'm broadcasting from on the second floor gallery space. So Chicago Sculpture International, we gave them the inspiration of Gustav Kaibat, the colors, the patina, the textures, the materials of the 1800s, and pulled together a curated show speaking to that. So distressed surfaces and different patinas, metals and woods, all kinds of materials and combinations that were evocative of another time and a time yet to come. It was really a charming show, and it's still on display till the end of August. Diana Silvero at the LaSalle Hotel, LaSalle and Adams. She's a collage artist. This is her second year participating, and she created Gustav Kaibat inspired collages using imagery from his famous paintings and other Chicago-centric materials with a window display theme and fashion theme. Lester Lambert, which is a jewelry store, an icon of local retailers here in Chicago, originally on Michigan Avenue for many, many years, on East Oak Street for many, many years, and now on Huron Street, local fine jeweler, specializes in custom designs, do a lot of work with sports teams and estate jewelry. And this window is decked out by Dee Broadlow, who is a long-time display artist here in the city and North Shore and the western suburbs. She has kind of a wrought iron backdrop, top hat, and various different props to celebrate the theme. Macy's on State, terrific downtown retail anchor. This is in the former Marshall Field building. And we're so fortunate to have Macy's on State continuing the fine tradition of a really excellent visual merchandising display presentation of the Marshall Field Company here on State Street. It's such a vital and important anchor for downtown retail, business, social, cultural we have to be very grateful for Macy's on State. The store has been updated over the last few years, and if you haven't been to Macy's on State, you really need to take a visit. It's looking better than it really ever has. Chip and Melania do a terrific job along with the rest of the team, visual merchandising the entire store. Fantastic selection. I can't say enough about Macy's on State. Took a long time to get over the Marshall Field thing, but it's where we are now. Mangles Florist, also at the Drake Hotel, created a window display filled with black umbrellas, illuminated figures, and merchandise speaking to the Paris theme. Marshall Pierce and Company on North Michigan Avenue at Oak Street. Pretty long-term participants, and they always do a terrific job finding, selecting an image that really speaks to them, and then pulling out props and images from the painting to use in the display. So this is a painting of the house painters, men on ladders and buckets of paint, painting a house. And then they have buckets of paint and little miniatures. They have little miniature people on ladders, painters and painter smocks. I don't know where they find this stuff, but they do a good job. Marshall Pierce, as I mentioned, most of the participants have the artist name and title or Instagram link associated, as much as we've been able to gather for the partners page. And Marshall Pierce was one of the most active, and has been one of the most active Instagram posters, and they do a really nice, very nice job. Their posts are especially slick and inviting. The Monadnock building, also in the Central Loop district, partnered with artist Patrice Olson. The Monadnock building was very generous in opening up to participants this summer. We can't thank them enough, but we're going to try. And they opened this space up on the street level for Patrice to create a Caillebotte inspired artist studio, where Patrice actually painted these paintings on site of the Monadnock building in Gustave Caillebotte style. People on Dearborn could look in and watch Patrice. Then people from the building could watch and interact with Patrice from the arcade. And Patrice it was really a pleasure. She said it was a pleasure interacting and getting to know some of the tenants in the building, the famous downtown landmark of the Monadnock building. Mineworks on South Michigan Avenue. I love these people, Jasmine and her team, because they participated. They didn't know they couldn't make it a window display, and they didn't get in their way. They did it anyway. So they worked with a couple mannequins and dressed them in merchandise and apparel from the lab, their lab uniforms. This is a interactive research museum experience that you're welcome to partake in. They have a lot of art inspired displays and exhibits. They're drawing data for research for the University of Chicago. It's a very interesting concept. And Jasmine and her team could not have been more delightful to work with. And it was so much fun to seeing them do something new and experiencing something new and literally making something out of nothing at the Mineworks location on South Michigan Avenue. Neiman Marcus at 737 North Michigan Avenue. Another very important and significant landmark and placeholder on North Michigan Avenue for style and retail and accessories and beauty. The store is a lovely, lovely shopping experience. It's well merchandised, approachable, and excelling in customer service, and lavish and beautiful displays throughout. It's almost like a museum experience. And again, comparable to the significance and importance of Macy's on State, I would say, in my opinion, that Neiman Marcus is equally significant and vital for the North Michigan Avenue corridor as a freestanding luxury retail department store. Really anchors this area as an important place to visit. Also at the Monadnock building, again, so welcoming. We were shopping around this summer for a location for an exhibit of plein air painters, plein air paintings from the plein air painters of Chicago, featuring Chicago-centric themes, and landed at the Monadnock building. They were happy to welcome us in. And we have this display of all these different paintings. I think 27 paintings by all local artists, on display at the Monadnock building on the Dearborn Street side. This window actually was expertly photographed by Bashan, the Art Institute of Chicago photographer. He also works with the city. I think he got this at 2 o'clock in the morning. Taking some of these window shots can be challenging because of the glare, and sometimes they're best taken at night. And this was that was a challenging location. Good job. Shops at Northbridge partnered with a couple of different artists. This window is showing Robin Malpass, and Robin was inspired by the Gustav Caillebotte scenes of city living. So she paired one of his reproduction of one of his original works, Man on a Bridge, with herself on a bridge in modern day garb, kind of a then and now theme. And then this was paired with fashion from the retailers at shops at Northbridge, styled by window display artist Dee Broadlow. And where did we have? Here is the number 2 at shops at Northbridge, comparable to Robbins on Michigan Avenue. This is a painting by Deborah Popley, an original painting of a boy walking a dog on a bridge. And we paired that with a retailer at shops at Northbridge. So the whole concept of bridges was a perfect partner for Northbridge with a bridge-centric theme. And another display at shops at Northbridge on the 3rd floor, which is in a available for rent space. Dee Broadlow trimmed this out with a vintage hat and these ginormous GC Gustav Caillebotte, get it? Monograms. But back quickly to Posh. We don't want to miss Posh. This is a significant entry this year. You know, every year we send the judges out and they ask, well, why isn't Posh on the list? Because there's such a significant visual merchandising window display institution here in the city. They just always have knockout displays. And for whatever reason, we haven't had them included for a while. But artist Allison Lyon reached out to them and partnered with them to create this Summer in the City outdoor painting scene with one of her original works. And it really was a really terrific partnership and integration. Posh is a really fantastic local resource here in Chicago. While Allison was working on her window display, she said Martha Stewart happened to come into the store to check it out. And I'm almost certain that Martha wasn't disappointed. Tauscher Chocolates of Switzerland. This window is created by Sanjay Taylor. And Sanjay always creates something unique and art inspired. She actually reproduced her own Gustav Caillebotte painting out of found materials and art supplies, and also paired it with her own kind of seascape watery display to highlight the merchandise, the luxurious boxes of chocolates. Ventu Cafe at the Pendry Hotel on North Michigan Avenue. Again, terrific partnership between artists and Pickett, who reached out to the hotel and the cafe to see if they'd like to participate this year. And it seemed to be a win-win fit for them, and created almost her own little mini art exhibit with paintings she painted herself in her style, but featuring some of the iconic Gustav Caillebotte subject matter. And another great ideas that percolate from these contests every year. Karen, the marketing manager at the Ventu, said, well, if we're having an art-inspired window display, we must have an art opening and an unveiling. And that's exactly what Karen invited Anne to put together. And it was a lovely unveiling party. I think it was in maybe late June, early July. And it was a very fun event, but a great idea, an unveiling party or just an unveiling event adds kind of elevates the experience for everybody. Another terrific idea generated this year was from Penelope Thrasher to have a title for your window display. That seems obvious enough. And Penny suggested, demanded, encouraged us to include a title of her window display. Her title is called Umbrella Grove. She created just that, a series of umbrellas like trees with rain falling from the Gustav Kaibart inspired clouds. This is at Water Tower Place Shopping Center, North Michigan Avenue on the fourth floor. Next to Penelope's display is a display by Anne Latinovich. Anne Latinovich has participated before in Project Windows, partnered with various retailers. This year, she created her own scene, kind of her own studio workshop scene, featuring her own works, which she felt were evocative of some of Gustav Kaibart's subject matter and style. Andersonville was a very active participant, very prominent neighborhood. Joining Project Windows this year, the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce, kind of encouraged people and supported people to participate, and they kicked it off with their own chamber display, a mural of Andersonville scene, evocative of the Gustav Kaibart's rainy day. And Anderson Galleria, I particularly like this one. You'll need to visit the partners page and zoom in and take a look. It's textures and materials and wood. This painting's all recreated out of found objects. It's really very, very interesting. A lot of art. Last 3 years, we have had a lot of artists gravitate toward Project Windows to partner with retailers and new participants. And that's also seemed to be a win-win. It's very interesting. I was talking to Zaness, the Heinemann from the Department of Cultural Affairs, and she said she especially likes to see people creating original art, finding inspiration, and creating something new. So we're sending her the list of all the artists this year. This display, Kakakari EO skincare for gents. And I do love everything that's going on here. I'm not sure if this is their permanent storefront or if they added this for the theme, but the awning stripe and the whole storefront really is very evocative of a French cafe. And it's just jam-packed with visuals. So we like everything that's going on at this location. Grishma Shaw, artist, partnered with Chicago Diner in the Lakeview area to create this Gustav Kaibart Under the Sea. She called this Gustav Kaibart's painting his underwater world. So that was the connection. I especially like that the jellyfish image from her painting inventory could almost be seen as an umbrella. Brianna Perry partnered with Chicago Diner in Logan Square. Brianna Perry, she participated last year in the Bronzeville neighborhood, and this year she decided to be closer to home, and she reached out to Chicago Diner and partnered with them. And this is a fun story. In this placard, which invites people to interact with the display and vote for their favorite entry, there's a reference image from Gustav Kaibart's Nude on a Couch. And this was the painting that Brianna used as a springboard for her design. So she focused on the floral pattern on the upholstery of the sofa, and she extrapolated the idea of the petals and the flowers, and she created this whole display based on that theme. I thought that was such a very interesting, evocative view, how people see things differently and what speaks to them and jumps off the page that maybe we didn't notice ourselves. Everybody's Coffee in Uptown. This is, I believe, the second or third year that Carl's participated. And this year he decided to put all of his coffee into the same boat. So, again, I say we were kind of thin on the humor category, but it's kind of humorous. We'll have to see what the judges come up with. I'm still waiting for a couple sheets. I have all these sheets, judging sheets from our professional judges that went out in the field and made the selections. I'm tabulating it all onto a master spreadsheet, which is kind of mind-numbing, but that's part of my job. And then the public voting is still continuing. So we're gearing up for our award ceremony next Thursday. This window at Hey, I Thought of You, and I do love that the name of that store. It's so terrific. And again, it's a iconic Gustav Kaibart image reproduced as part of their display. Los Barillos. We had a fun time on the Meet the Artist call when it was explained to us that this painting actually was kind of technically challenging because the artist had to paint it from reverse. So it's the floor scrapers, but painted, last thing first and first thing last. So it would read from the outside of the window. So I think sometimes people might think that the cliche idea of an artist is that we're a little flaky, but I think that took some real thinking and showed that there's a technical side, a thinking side, a planning side to everything creative. The Pulaski Elston Business Association, and this is by Sid Smiley, and she's I think this is her second or third year also. And I love this story because similar to the plein air painter display at the Monadnock, the Pulaski Elston people are having a hard time or challenging time finding a location for a display. And Sid told me that she had all of 24 hours, maybe 48, no, 48 hours, 48 hours to create her painted window display paintings, painting on panels. And again, it just shows the ingenuity, veracity, tenacity that artists need to have. And Sid, she's a very capable, productive artist, and she was able to meet that challenge. But between some of the challenges of finding these locations and having enough notice and the materials and supplies, the idea of support is very important, and that's why we certainly appreciate the associations like Andersonville and the Pulaski Elston and Bronzeville for supporting, kind of pushing this along in some of the more sticky spots in the process. Now, the Sense Queen in Albany Park, we like everything that's going on here. They've anchored the window with this decidedly Gustav Kaibat umbrellas and very neat and tidy, very crisp and clean, lovely presentation, very, very Chicago centric. Vase and Vessel in Andersonville. And this is just a lovely pairing of floral designs and floral paintings. Everything about this is speaks to beauty, an interior, enriching your life, and celebrating beauty all around you. A lot of good stuff. When we had the Meet the Artist, I was remiss and left Benita off the list, but Benita Phillips is the creator of this window display. And, I like this because it's not recreating the wheel. We're not asking people to not be who they are or not be in the business of what they're selling. And a lot of good stuff every year, just uses what they have. She's used a chair, back of a chair, back of a mannequin, looking out a window scene. So she basically recreated one of the scenes from a Gustav Kaibat Gustav Kaibat painting, Man on a Balcony. And it's just very charming and very evocative. It's a lovely addition. Beverly Area Planning Association. This is a great example of working with local artists and displaying their works, lifting their work up and creating a very clean and tidy window display. I love these suspended in the space in these rather luxurious frames. Cakewalk Chicago. I believe her store is going under renovation. She has a new storefront, which is very, very nice. And in the process, this is Lori, the proprietor of Cakewalk, highlighting some beautiful reproductions of Chicago scenes, kind of a misty, mysterious Gustav Kaibat mode. The Blue Collective, also in the Beverly area, using what they have. Suspending umbrellas from the ceiling and showing their wares in a very evocative and kind of late 1800s vintage style. Essential Creation Chicago, they created a custom art quilt for display in this window and combined it with other merchandise from the shop. The everything's relative salon. I get this mixed up with everybody's coffee. Joan explained to me years ago that everything's relative is because everyone who works there is related. You have to be very careful what you say there. I don't think Joan got many votes for humor and is not necessarily all that much amusing, but Joan always has a fun time creating her display. And she also worked with local artists in Beverly to create her display. The Sandberg Properties and the GCA, which is the retailer, they create customized sweatshirts and t-shirts for teams and for team building and businesses. A lot of inspiring themes, messages, and merchandise. The West Lawndale neighborhood. This is at the Starling Cafe, which is a terrific place to visit if you love architecture. Um, it's really a terrific inside-outside experience. The space opens up to the outdoors, and this window does just that. This faces the front plaza, and it's open to the public. It's open to the air during most of the day or when the weather is good, and then window doors close at night. And I love this because it's interactive and inclusive. It's got everything going on. So they were working with, I believe, a number of women artists who were victims of abuse, and that's what's looping on the television screen. An exhibit from another show framed in all the Gustav Kaibat iconography, along with the rainy day umbrella overhead. Diane was on our Meet the Artist call, and it was so fun to hear her talk about her display and the process. She didn't let anything get in her way. We sometimes hear about the idea of things being mutually exclusive, but this is really mutually inclusive. There wasn't anything that was a deal breaker in the process of creating this display. So I especially appreciated that. Beyond the city, this is actually in Hinsdale. This is also by artist Dee Broadlow. And she created her own little art museum scene with framed reproductions of Gustav Kaibat paintings in these amazing gold gilt frames in the background, along with patrons dressed in fashion from the retailer and some fancy stanchions. Sometimes it doesn't take all that much to create an evocative scene. So as I said, I am finishing up my Project Windows voting tabulation from the judges, the panel of judges. We've got 7 judges, community leaders, art curators, business leaders, association leaders. We even have an actual judge. He's a professor at law. They were out this season, this summer, taking a look at the windows, and the votes are all in. I'm tabulating them, and we will have winners along with the Art Institute of Chicago Award, Choose Chicago Award, and also the People's Choice Award, where the public is invited to vote for their favorite window. And that's still ongoing until Monday, August 25th. The awards party is on Thursday, August 28th at 5 p.m. at the Art Institute of Chicago on the Modern Wing entrance. If you need an invitation, please let me know. I will include my email in the description of this video, and also the partners page link in the description of this video. Happy to have you check out the partners page link, which is a very significant part of the process, listing all the retailers along with their Instagram connections. I'll be happy to send you all that information and send you an invite. And I truly look forward to seeing you at the awards party very, very soon.